So, Ben, welcome to Prague. How many times have you been here before?
This is in fact my fourth time in Prague.
Yeah, so did you see something what you didn't see before, or is it?
Yes, I saw a tremendous amount of concrete that you made me pose in front of for at least an hour and a half.
Okay, this is a terrible discussion because I've been yesterday for all day with Ben, so I exactly know what I'm asking for, but he gave me totally different answers than I expected. So,
Stadium. We went to the stadium, and then we posed a lot, and then we went on the funicular.
Yeah, so that was a lot of things.
You asked me what I hadn't seen before. That's what.
You also didn't see the British ambassador. It was also.
Oh, that. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes. We went to the British Embassy, which is like a TARDIS. You have this tiny little door at the front. You go in, huge garden.
Yeah. So Ben is now part of officialities. So and doors of the British Embassy are open. So. It means something really. We can be more official now with these funny books. Yeah, alright. So Ben, I'm sure that there will be a lot of questions here, but for sure there are two questions. Just the first one is, where is the Czech story, which you promised last time?
COVID got in the way, actually. It would have been written by now with COVID. It's about 2 to 3 years away.
Okay, 3 years from now. So, do you know something more about the story for Czech readers?
It's going to be about the cursed highway,
which is D1.
Because you kept on going on about this highway is cursed, this highway is cursed. And I thought, ooh, cursed highway. You mustn't say things like that to writers. It just makes our brains fizz. And it's probably going to have a ghost tank, and Peter Grant is definitely going to run down the hill by the Hungry Wall on the 1st of May and trip over the people having sex. Because he told me about that as well, and now it was just good because now I know it's set in May. You see, I didn't know that before.
Yeah. Because it's a tradition to go. Everybody knows it, isn't it? Just all people are going to the Petřín. On May the 1st, and they are just doing their things. So you can imagine the Peter Grant who's running down, and there's some ouch! Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, he's going to be very English about it. Whoops, sorry, excuse me, sorry, stop doing that, sorry.
So we know two scenes from, especially one scene from that book, and we're looking forward to it. Ben, and the second most obvious question is, what about TV series?
The TV series is inching towards the possibility of a maybe. So no, until you have filmed it, in fact, until you have edited it and it has been broadcast, there is no certainty that a TV series will be made. So, the time to get excited is when they cast Nightingale. When they cast Nightingale, who will be the most expensive actor, you will know they're going to make it, possibly.
Okay, so I also told you that you are lucky that your main character is already black, because they don't change the color, hopefully, for Peter Grant, which is...
This is quite a recent development, because if this had been made 10 years ago, they would have been trying to make him white. In fact, actually, the first couple of times they did say that.
Yeah, so we will see, but hopefully everything will be like it is in the books. And hopefully you will have your hand on it.
I will have my hand on it, which is one of the reasons why it's very unlikely to get made. They don't like it when you have your hand on it, but
So I think that's a necessity to have a good TV series now. And do you have any idea if it will be some big company from Europe, USA, Asia? Is there some, or is it just maybe, and you have no idea who will make it? HBO, Disney?
No, I have no idea at the moment. It will have American money or Japanese money in it.
Okay.
It will be from one of the streaming services, but I have no idea which one.
both of them are good money, I think.
Money is money.
Yeah, definitely. So, about that, so what are you writing now for another money?
Nobody but a fool writes for anything else. I'm writing the next Peter Grant book. That's what I'm writing at the moment. But you're about 3 books behind, so you know.
Yeah.
When am I going to get my Czech contracts? That's what I want to know for the next set of books. No, I'm writing a book set in Scotland at the moment. So Peter Grant goes to Aberdeen and causes trouble.
And just only Aberdeen. We were talking about some Orkney stuff.
There's the Orkney folklore in it, but he doesn't go to Orkney.
He just
but there's a particular set of folklore surrounding mermaids and stuff in Orkney that I've totally nicked.
Okay.
As is my want.
Yeah, go to Orkney, you will find the folly.
He loves Orkney. He loves everywhere where the population density is 5 people per square kilometre. He's happy.
Yeah, Orkney is good. Go there. I've been there last summer. It's perfect.
I'm the opposite. I like to see lots of people around me. I don't feel comfortable if you're just looking at it. It's just wind as far as the eye can see.
Yeah, but you've been there on some convention, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been to Orkney. No, gone away for a convention. I went to Orkney because I wanted to go on a boat.
Okay.
Because I hadn't been. I was going to write this sequence set on an oil rig and associated boats. And I realised I hadn't been on a boat for 40 years, so I thought I'd better go on one. And I was going to go on the boat from Aberdeen to Norway, but they don't do that anymore. But they do go from Aberdeen to the Orkney, so I went on a boat. It's very boring. I just got on a boat, boat, Orkney.
I loved it. It's not boring. There's a lot of sea, we have no sea here, so it's...
Yeah, well, this is one of the things I like about the Czech Republic. It's a complete absence of seafood.
I have to say Ben is a big fan of Czech cuisine, and he really likes dumplings. Yeah, that's for dumplings. Yeah. So every time it's just what do you want to do? I don't know, but some dumplings, please. Yeah, so it's.
No, I like the sauces as well.
Yeah, sausages. Yeah, just for on his first visit, we've been on course of Ostrava, I think. And I have special particular place for buying klobásy, sausages for them, because they don't know what klobása does mean. So, for your information, it's in Knižní nad Oslavou, and I think it was a good first visit, isn't it?
Yeah, no, we were heading for Ostrava, and then we went sausage, and then we went sausage, and then we went to Ostrava. You got lost about there, which is neat, I think, for a country that's basically just long and thin, with one city at one end and one city at the other, and you managed to get lost on the way to Ostrava.
The problem was that there was some traffic jam around Prostějov, and Prostějov. You can be lost around Prostějov without any problem. It's flat.
Yes.
There's no hill. You are just going, and there are no signs. There are just flat land, and But we found Ostrava, and he's been there. Definitely.
And he got his tyres slashed.
Okay, so we spoke enough. So is there any question from the audience now, please?
You have to ask a question, otherwise we just sit here.
Yeah, okay, here's the first question.
Sure, thank you. So Ben, thanks for coming to Prague again. And I would like to ask, reading in between the lines of your books, I see some sinister development between, I don't know if I'm reading it that way, Peter and Beverly. So, is there trouble going on, or is it just me reading the way his unacceptance or very reluctant acceptance of the powers she has and how she uses it to influence people?
I don't think I think you're probably overstating the friction. They're just like every other couple. There are things they argue about, except in their case they don't argue about the car. They argue about whether it's good to glamour someone and make them do what you tell them. So it's just a completely different, it's just a sort of thing, but they argue in that kind of like coupley kind of way. You know, I don't think of it as sinister, you know, I don't know yet. I never know what the characters are going to do from book to book, so who knows what will happen in the future. So I don't want you to think, oh no, it's going to be boring. No, it probably won't be boring. Might be not be sinister though.
So are you that kind of writer who really doesn't know, and his characters are living their own lives in your head? Is it like that?
Yeah, I imagine them as sitting in a green room on the other side of the wall from which I write on, and they bang on the wall and go, I want to be in the next book. And I go, fuck off.
So are they jealous on themselves when they are not so often just...
The ones that aren't in every book get very pissed off.
Yeah, okay.
Peter Grant is very smug.
Okay. I think just maybe the dog is alright, isn't it? Just
What, Toby the dog?
Oh, Toby
yes.
the dog.
Why does everybody want bloody Toby the dog in every book?
Toby the dog is just popular.
Quite limited as a character, you know. He goes woof and he eats sausages.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
That's all there is about Toby. He's not a magical dog. He's just woof sausages.
He hates magic. It's magical.
Yeah, he'd like it if it gave him a sausage. He's a very tolerant dog, like most dogs.
Okay, there's maybe some nice plot if somebody give him a magical sausage. Yeah. Okay, another question, please. Yeah, here.
Thank you. So, Ben, let's get the elephant in the room out of the way. This is a question that you probably heard 1,000 times before, but Inspector Nightingale is a very powerful character, right? How do you keep such a powerful magician, such a powerful character in your hands, so to speak? How do you keep the reins on him so that he doesn't run away and do whatever he wants to? And maybe what was your main inspiration for the character of such a name, Nightingale?
It's hard to say where he came from. He came from a kind of archetype of an old character, a historical character. As to keeping the reins on him, if you don't tell him to do anything, he just sits and reads poetry. It's very boring. Watches the rugby occasionally. He's a very self-contained character. Him and Peter are very self-contained characters. If you leave them alone, they don't do anything exciting. They just go off and wander off and do their own thing. I don't think of him like that. I mean, he is the most powerful wizard in the world, but he doesn't think of himself like that, and he knows the limitations of his own power. So it's very impressive, but you can still shoot him in the head and he'll be dead. That's just the limitations of wizardry. I don't know. He just kind of arrived, looking like Paul McGann, really, and that was it. And I went, oh, Nightingale, and I came up with the name Nightingale because I thought I was so clever. And it turned out there were at least 18 magician characters called Nightingale in the literature. So obviously, I wasn't the first person to think it was a good name. He started as a bit of a stereotype, but he's got a bit less stereotype now. And I'm very influenced by Cobden Holbrook-Smith, who does the English version. He does a particular kind of voice for Nightingale, like this. And now whenever I'm writing Nightingale, I have Cobden's voice in my head. So he talks very slowly, because Cobden always does him, he's talking very slowly and clearly and enunciating very well, as he should do. Where really his accent should be slightly posher, but...
I also think so, yeah.
Yeah.
So Nightingale has a Czech story. How did you find out about the plot for the Czech story?
Well, you told me to write it. I don't know.
As usually.
No, it was for the RUR. So it was for the anniversary of Capex RUR.
Just we will check. Did you read it? There is the Czech story when Nightingale is in Prague for anthology Robot 100, kterou jsme vydali před 3 lety. Ano, this is the book. Yes, I will continue in checking for a little while. Tohle je antologie Robot 100, kterou jsme vydali ke 100. výročí objevení slova robot bratry Čapkovými. A je tam dokonce skutečně, je tam doslov od Roberta Silverberga, který napsal speciálně pro tuto antologii, a je tam povídka od Bena Aaronoviče, která teda donedávna nebyla v angličtině, teď už prý vyšla v nějaké speciální edici, ale každopádně, pokud jste nečetli, tak tady se ukrývá povídka s Nightingalem, kterýž to navštíví Prahu, a je to pod Karlu Čapkovi. Tak. All right. So, tell us something more about the story. How was it? And if you will continue that line, because it's in 40s, so will be there more stories from 40s?
Well, I thought it would be interesting to do a 38 story just before the occupation. So I thought that would be a fun era to set it in. Then I could have trains and people on trains trying to kill each other and things like that. So I don't know. I just had this vision of him with werewolves in the Czech Republic, and that's what we got. But then I had to tie it into the RUR story, so I had to have a reason for him being there. And it turned into a story of his relationship between him, a German magician, and a Czech magician, and how over the course of like the 1920s and 1930s their relationship changes until finally they're in a confrontation at Kbely airfield, right at the end.
Kbely airfield,
yeah.
Všichni víte, odleta ze Kbel, všechno tam sedí, všechno tam sedí. Everything's fitting pretty well there. Okay, another question from the audience. It's your time, guys. Don't be shy. This is the Czech silence, I call it. Every time nobody wants to. Yeah. So, any question? Okay, we can continue without you, but we are here for you, and he's here for. Okay, there's a question. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Peter is such a three-dimensional character. He is so deep, and his culture, his background is such a huge part of him. How did you come to decide to write him as such, to not write him white? What gave you the guts to give him this culture and decide to, like, let's go with it?
Well, unfortunately, I'm from the generation where we don't care about that sort of thing and write what we like. But I have thought about this, and what it is that as a writer, you do not. It's not about whether you have a right to write a character. It's about your responsibility when you're writing characters to write them well. And when you're writing outside of your culture, you have a responsibility to write that character as authentically as possible. But fortunately, in my case, Peter Grant, I grew up with people like Peter Grant. Peter Grant, practically lived in my house, so it wasn't a problem for me. I ate tea in his, and I went to see his mum. Not really, but the equivalent. I went round and I was eating jollof rice round at people's houses. I was eating, ground-up chicken, which is delicious, by the way, and. So I didn't have any problem writing Peter Grant because Peter Grant basically, he went to my school. I mean, I have him go to my school, which is my son's school, so I knew what the curriculum was, I knew what he watched in TV. So in some ways, he's not actually from a different culture from me, right? So he's close enough that he was fairly easy to write. Okay, so you just had to take into account the different experience re-race. But that's, you can't shut my friends up about that sort of thing. So it's not like that I had to look far for research. On and on and on.
Okay, another question, or I can ask. You've been in Germany. It's not so long time ago. It's
last week.
Last week. So what did you do there? Because
the same thing I did here. I wandered around talking to people until they told me to go away.
Yeah,
basically. No, I did the Leipzig Book Fair. It is the season for book fairs, by the way. So everyone goes. All us authors are going from book fair to book fair to book fair. So we spend a lot of time drinking coffee, mostly on trains.
Okay, German trains are nicer than the Czech trains.
Yeah, you keep saying that, but the Germans moan about their trains all the time. If you listen to the Germans, they're the worst trains ever. Deutsche Bahn is run by idiots. It sounds exactly like they sound exactly like Czech people talking about Czech trains and British people talking about British trains. To the point where I don't listen to any of you about your bloody trains. Seriously.
All right, thank you very much for this, everything. So you've been there also in the Discord convention, isn't it?
Yeah, I did the German Discord convention, which is a lot of fun because it's in a castle.
In a castle?
Yeah, when they do Discord conventions in Germany, they don't fuck about. They just send you to a castle. It's a castle that's also used as a youth centre.
That's
and
cool.
Everyone dresses up much more than they do in Britain, so it's much more cosplay and people running around, and I judged the competition for the best cosplay and things like that.
So how many people was coming there?
I don't know, lots.
Lots. Yeah. Okay. So it's a big castle.
Yeah, it's quite a big castle. I mean, I would say 60, 70, maybe 100. I'm never very good at crowds.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. So,
I'm a writer. I basically don't talk to people, so that's all.
Yeah. So,
Crowds.
and do the German fans of Terry Pratchett reading your books?
Yeah, there's quite a lot of crossover between Terry Pratchett fans and people that read my books. I don't know if it's 100% or anything, but there's definitely a crossover. And I'm cheap, so they like to have me.
All right. Okay. It's not so cheap that books, but sorry.
No, I'm cheap for a 10, because I always go, oh, castle, I'll go there.
Yeah, all right, I got it now. So, castle is good.
Castle, yay!
Yay, castle is good.
Just feed me coffee, put me in a hotel, I'm good.
Yeah, so, another question from the audience. Let's go.
There was some.
Okay, there is somebody. Come on.
Hi, thanks for coming. I have two questions actually. First one, if you're writing a character that's based on a real person, like Peter, for example, does it ever create a problem?
Well, he's not really based on one particular person, and so no, because like his background is based on a friend of mine's background, but I reversed everything and changed gender, so there's no chance of her ever coming after me with an axe. If she ever reads the books, which I don't think she has anyway. So I try not to write about real people. I accidentally used Abigail's name to describe someone who looked a lot like Abigail when they were 14, and I live in fear that one day she will pick up the books and come after me with a lawsuit or something. But apart from that, I've managed, because I only thought she was going to be in one book. You see, this is the problem. I keep doing this with characters, so I thought she was going to be in the second book, and the next thing I know, she's got her own book series, and I'm like, oh no, I'll be sued. So that can be a problem, but I try to avoid that by not writing about real people. But you know, you draw on yourself and you draw on the people you know to create characters, and you draw on your reading, so you read like biographies of people and stuff like that. But mostly you just make shit up. That's basically the writer's job, and be convincing about it. It is in fact the same thing you do when you're trying to convince your mother when you're 8 that you really didn't fall into a pond and get covered in mud, and that was totally normal. And you did, you know, it's the same part of my brain. I can feel it's the same part of my brain that came up with a convincing story to my mother. It's the same part of my brain that I'm using when I'm writing. I am basically getting paid to lie. It's the most brilliant profession in the history of ever.
Thanks. And the second question, you said that it's like the characters live on the other side of the wall. Who wins when you get into an argument with them?
Oh, that depends. That kind of depends on how much I need them compared to how much they need me. You see, if I really need them for an aspect of the plot, then they've got a lot of leverage, so they can go, oh, I'm not going to do this bit of the plot unless you do this. But if I just want them in the background yakking away, then they have to be satisfied with what I tell them to do. Some characters are more kind of pushy than others. Abigail's very pushy. Molly is very pushy. Who else is very pushy? Peter's very, very relaxed. Peter and Nolia, they're very relaxed. Peter's very relaxed because he knows he's the hero, so I can't get rid of him. But Nightingale's very relaxed because he's like, I shall just stand here and look stoic. That's Nightingale, with a stiff upper lip. I was so yes, it's hard to say. It depends on the book. Beverly's a pain, to be honest. She goes, I wouldn't do that. Get in there and do the plot. Nope, stupid, not doing it. So I have to coax Beverly into the plot. So.
Yeah, in the fourth volume there is a lot of things from the Hitchhiker's Guide to Galaxy, especially. What's your personal relationship to Douglas Adams?
Personal relationship with Douglas Adams. He couldn't have put me out in a lineup. My personal relationship is I first listened to Douglas Adams' The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy when I was, what, I don't know, about 12, well, on the radio at 10:30 at night when it was the first broadcast on the radio, and fell out of my bed laughing. So that was my relationship with Douglas Adams.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's a very good relationship, and that particular story was based on the way that these tech bro entrepreneurs always use stupid things in their companies. Never do anything normal, and so I picked. I was Elon Musk calling his ships after the drone ships after drones in the Ian M. Banks novels inspired me. I thought, right, what's his particular kink? And I thought his kink is Hitchhiker's Guide, and then I'll just do that. And then it turned out to be thematically very relevant, so that kind of worked.
Thank you for answer. Any question? Another question? Who's next? Don't be afraid. Or
Back one.
is there something? Yeah,
okay, wave their arm.
I didn't see, sorry.
Yeah, I didn't think it saw you.
Yeah.
Can't hide from us.
Hello. From a different bookcase, I heard that you like castles. Did you manage to visit any Czech castles yet? Or do you plan to?
No, I haven't visited any. Well, I mean, apart from the castle, I haven't managed to visit any Czech castles. I mean, the trouble with Prague, right, is everywhere you go, oh look, historic building, historic building, historic building. It's exactly the opposite ratio to every other city in Europe, where you have it's like beautiful building, beautiful building, beautiful building, ugly building, beautiful building, beautiful building. And it's the exact opposite ratio from every other city where it goes ugly, 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 beautiful, ugly, 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 ugly. And so the trouble with Prague is you just constantly wander around like this. Or especially if you like architecture like I do. And there's always things, I mean, you go round a corner down an alleyway and there's bits that nobody else knows about because it's just like, oh, there's so much architecture, we can't be bothered to look at it. And so I haven't been to any castles, but I want to go to some castles. I remember we were driving to Ostrava and sausages, and I remember looking up and just seeing this castle sitting on top of the hill, and I thought, oh, I want to go to the castle. He said, no, we must eat sausages.
Okay, we have to find some castle where we can go
castles
upstairs.
Well, we've got a car with a castle anyway because we've got to do it for the story. I need a castle for the story.
Yeah, it's Czech Republic is full of castles, and if you want to write a story from here, okay. We just published the 5th book of Haber's Czech castles, so we have them all in 5 books. So if you need something, it's definitely here. Yeah. So. What's your next plan for another visit? You are in Russia? I think it was because COVID, isn't it, that you were sitting down and you were writing. Okay, let's go back to the COVID. That's the question also I'd like to ask you. How did you survive it?
Well, as a writer, surviving COVID is really easy because you basically spend your life sitting in your room typing anyway. And all that happened was you didn't have to go out and do any meetings. It got a bit dicey when the food delivery stopped, but apart from that, I was good. I got a bit lonely after about 6 months, but that was fine. So you just go, oh great, no one's interrupting me, I can get some work done, yay. And then I got COVID, which was not fun, so, but, you know, it's, I had a stupid government, so who messed things up, got some things right, messed other things up. But I think that's true about just all the governments. I survived it fine. Nobody I knew died, which was nice. A couple of projects got done, but more work got done on other projects. But it did put my German and my Czech books back because I couldn't travel. It got very difficult to travel. I mean, that whole thing when you had to come in with like slap down this and slap down that and slap down that to get through the bloody airport gate, and then you got to the other end and you had to slap them down again and then take a test, and I just thought, oh, I'm just going to stay at home. I like travel, but I don't like it that much.
So now you are traveling a lot. So do you like traveling, or is it?
I always hate traveling in the prospect of traveling. I go, oh god, I gotta go on that plane. Oh god. Then when I'm there, I really enjoy it. Like I've really enjoyed being in Prague. You know, despite the fact that it comes after 3 weeks of traveling around everywhere else. It's just nice to be here. It's just nice to eat dumplings and stuff like that.
No sausages this time. Yeah.
No, we'll sausages next time.
Yeah, okay.
I've got to come back. I'm going to come back when I'm not doing something like this, so that I have time to wander around and look at things properly and work out exactly. Well, there's a cafe that turned us away today that's definitely getting a car through the window in the story. I have no idea why, but they're definitely getting a car in the window. Let that be a lesson to you if you run a cafe. Never turn away writers if you want your building to survive the next story.
Yeah, because they told them that they have some reservation or something.
Yeah.
Like this. Yeah. Bastards. All right.
Car in the window for them.
Yeah, car in the window.
And then we went to a very pink cafe, which I thought was very funny.
Very pink cafe. Okay, so another question here. Come on, he's here just once per 4 years.
You must be fairly interested to turn up. It's quite a long walk.
So, regarding traveling, as a professional author, you apparently travel a lot. Yeah, you make stuff up for a living. We heard that. So, when you are traveling, can you get into the headspace of being able to write, like for example on a plane or on a train or something, or do you have to be at home in your cubicle?
No, I have to be at home in front of my word processor. I've seen writers that can. I once took a train journey with Brandon Sanderson, and he just sat down, got his laptop out, and just started typing the whole fricking journey without cease. I've never seen anyone write so consistently. I mean, like me, I'm like, stop, stare out the window, drink coffee, go to the loo, come back. No, and he's just continuously typing. No wonder he produces so many books. So, I mean, apparently the rumour is that Brandon Sanderson got on a plane for an 8-hour flight to London and had written a novella by the time he landed, right? Which is just, I can believe that now. Having seen him work, I can believe that. But I can't do that. I look out the window, I listen to books. When I'm on a train, I like to look out the window anyway, because I like to see the whole beauty of being on a train is being able to see the landscape as it goes through, especially when you're in a foreign country. So. And I like looking at people's back gardens when you go to towns. Ooh, what's they got there? They should really take care of that better.
And so, how the process of writing? Somebody can find it painful. How is it for you? Just with this coffee breaks and everything.
Let's put it this way: I wake up every morning and go, "Yes, suckers! They get paid me to do this." Because I get, it's not work. It's hard. It can be very hard when you're halfway through a book and you're thinking, I have no idea what happens next. But it's not work. For me, work is being told what to do, having to go somewhere and do it, do stuff that you don't want to do. Writing is fun. Sometimes it's painful fun. It's a bit like running a marathon, okay? You watch people running a marathon, you can see at about the 15 kilometer mark, most of them are thinking, why the fuck did I think this was a good idea? Right? And then they feel a bit better and they get through another bit, and then they get to like the 25 kilometer mark and go, oh Jesus, I'm gonna die. And then they get to the end and you see them, they stack it to the end, they look at their time, they collapse on those unless they're professionals, they collapse on the sort of thing and then lie there, gasping. And yet they're thinking, I am never doing that again ever in my entire life. And then 5 minutes later they're thinking, if I start training now, I can do New York. Right? That is exactly what you do when you write a book. You get to the end and you think, why am I doing this for a living? I'm never going to do that again. This is the last book ever. And then 5 minutes after you sent it off to your publisher, you're like, I think I'll write another one.
So is it like a muscles when you are writing more? Is it just better?
I keep expecting it to get easier. This is what really annoys me, right? I think you're on book 10. It should be getting easier, but no, it's the same thing. You start the book exactly the same way. You go, oh, I don't know how to start this book. Then you start the book, and then you get a certain distance, and you go. I mean, it's so predictable. You can I've actually got a spreadsheet where I'm moody. I've got my mood on it because I know exactly what my mood will be at certain points during the book. You get about a quarter of the way through, and you've done all the fun stuff that you got excited about. And you're like suddenly, okay, what happens next? And then you have another peak, and then you drop down, and you think everything you've written is terrible, and I can't write, why do people write my books? And you have these kind of peaks and troughs, and you just go through. And the professional writer, as a professional writer, you just have to learn to keep going and not stop. If you look, a lot of people who start writing books, they stop at about the 20,000 word mark in English. I don't know what that would be in Czech, because the lengths are different in books. For example, my German books gain about a third in translation. They're a third longer. It's great because my novellas become novels. You know, it's like a third longer. But I don't know what it would be with Czech. Czech might be a more compact language than German, for all I know. But you just have to learn to work through these things. So you just work through them until you lose the interest. But I keep waiting for it to get easier, and it doesn't.
Yeah, for your information, Czech language is for 10 to 15, maximum 20% longer than English is.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so it's every time it's a little bit longer.
Yeah, that's what serves you right for having declining verbs.
Yeah, so we don't have the problem like the long words like in Germany.
No, they like to run their words together, which I love those words.
Yeah, so we are talking about writing. So any question about writing, or you can ask something else. No problem. Come on. Okay, first, second.
Thank you. So Ben, you've been giving us updates about the word count on your Twitter for a long time, and the word count actually, for me at least, reads like something very organized in a way that when you decide to put the words down, then they stick. And I wanted to ask, how often do you have to go back and rewrite something or ditch something completely? Thank you.
Okay, I try never to rewrite anything or ditch anything if I can possibly help it. However, that's because unlike some writers write like me and some writers write differently. So people who are trained as journalists are very obvious as writers. They write 2,000 words and then they trim 1,500 out, right? And they write it like the next day. And it's like, that's horrifying to me. That's 1,500 words, God! I write longer, so I take longer to write, but I don't write a sentence until I think I've got the right sentence, so therefore I don't trim as much. So I don't write until I'm confident that I'm writing the thing that I want to write. But that means I'm very slow. I write about 500 words a day. Maximum speed is about 500 words a day. You just have to learn what your sort of speed is, and then you just have to build your kind of career around how fast you can write. You know, can't all be Stephen King doing 2,000 words a day, which for me is just a terrifying figure. 2,000 words a day, that's like a novel every 15 minutes, you know. If I wrote 2,000 words a day, there'd be no limit to the number of books I'd write. Well, there you go.
Okay, there's another question.
Hi, I would like to ask you if you will continue with story with Tobias Winter, or it was just one book.
No, there's definitely going to be another Toby and Vanessa. That too was stalled by COVID because I couldn't go to Germany to do the research. You'll be pleased to know that the Czechs have just edged ahead of Toby Winter so far. So we're going to do the Czech. I'm going to do the Czech first, and then there will be the Tobias Winter book, which will be a full-length novel with him and Vanessa, because I have a story that's that sort of length. You can always tell what kind of length the story is before you start it. I think the Czech one will probably be another novella. I think it's kind of novella length, unless Beverly does something really funny, and in which case it'll be longer.
So, but how was it to write the German story? Because it's not so comfortable like to write something from London or Hertfordshire. Especially Hertfordshire is also exotic for you, or?
Yeah, very opposite. No, it's very easy to write in other countries. You just need to do loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of research. And then once you've done loads and loads of research, you make sure you have lots of friends from that country to go, no, no, nobody says that. Nobody is called Wolf, Ben. No one has ever been called Wolf in the history of Germany.
So have you been in Trier?
Yeah, I went to Trier about 8 times.
8 times?
Yeah, because you do your initial thing, you still go home, you write, and you realise you didn't visit the bit of Trier that you needed to write for that. So you go back to Trier and visit the bit of Trier, and then you come back, write some more, and then you go, oh shit, they went the other way. So you have to go back to Trier and go the other way.
I visited Trier just because of your book, and I was really surprised. It's a beautiful place, so it's another good recommendation from
Yeah,
Ben.
Tree is very nice. It's not a place that a lot of foreigners go to, but a lot of Germans go there for holidays and wine. Very nice for wine.
Very nice wine and a lot of Roman history. So if you are if you are fans of Roman history and wine, just go there. It's a beautiful place.
And also Karl Marx was born there, in case you want to. All the strip joints are on Karl Marxstadt.
Okay.
So there it is. Oops, I've gone off.
Yeah, I think it's. Is it still in
No.
bottom? Okay, it's working. Okay, so that Herefordshire, because I also have been there because of his books. So I just tell us. I know that, but just tell the people why Herefordshire.
Well, two reasons. One, I wanted a place that was very rural, so the opposite of London, that wasn't in the north or wasn't part of Cornwall, Wales or Scotland, because if you go to the north, those areas, then it becomes London versus the north or London versus Scotland. So I wanted somewhere that was rural, Herefordshire is about the most rural place. When you think of the British countryside, you are actually thinking of Herefordshire, the traditional postcard vision of the British countryside. And the other reason is that a guy wrote a series of books set there, and I liked it, so I thought I'll sell my books there.
Yeah,
So the Merrily Watkins books are set there. And it's the same reason I'm in Scotland. I'm in Aberdeen because Stuart McBride sets his books there. And so I thought, aha, I will go and piss on your territory. Yeah.
That sounds nice. But still, I have no idea how your unicorns are crossing the hedges in Herefordshire, because it's a terrible thing.
Oh, it's great. You can't see anything.
Yeah, that's. I will continue a little bit. It will be easier for me in chat. To si nemůžete představit. Ono se tam v té knížce píše, že jsou tam živý ploty, jo? Ale to jsou hedges. A když tam přijedete, tak se jako ukáže, že jedete po silnici a takhle vysoko nad váma jsou ty živý ploty a vy nevidíte vůbec, ale vůbec nic, jo? A já tam mám nějaký domorodce, oni vysvětlovali, že to je proto, že už mají teďka traktory, který to usekají takhle vysoký, že dřív to sekali jako daleko nižší. A že voska na kozlíku viděl po krajině a teď nevidíte nic, to jsou 3metrový obrovský živý ploty, které jsou sázený ze 7 druhů bylin a jsou naprosto neprostupní, takže jak tam lezou jednorožci, fakt netuším. So I was just talking, because they don't know what the hedges does mean, you know, they never...
Really? So, don't have any?
Yeah, so hedges, no, not any, not 3 meters high.
And also, in the summer I went there, if you drove down them, they brushed both sides of the cars.
Yeah.
They got so big they
and usually there's just enough space for one car, slightly. So when you are meeting another car in the opposite direction, you have two choices: just to be the one, or just go back. And usually it's for 500 meters to go back. And there's
it used to be that the big problem was you run into the back of a tractor.
Yeah.
But now the big problem is you run into the back of a Tesco delivery van. So
it's really complicated. But still, their post office, especially their postmen, are delivering their deliveries twice per day between the hedges. I was so surprised. Really, 2 times per day in Great Britain, between the hedges, they have post service. Unbelievable, because we have a lot of problems here with the post office. They are just cancelling post office, and it's a terrible story. I will tell you more for your next story, because I think it's another very magical and horror story.
If you go to a foreign country and ask people about the country, all you get is moaning, right? So if you listen to the people that live there, your story about this country that is declining into a fetid swamp of a country, right?
Yeah.
And you're looking around going, oh, look at this lovely country. And they're going, oh, it's terrible, the post office is dying, the trains don't run, everyone hates me, I think, oh God. And see, I'm a fundamentally optimistic people, so I think my view of the Czech Republic will be slightly more optimistic than your view.
Yeah, so, but you will put it to your readers before publishing, and they will say, no.
Yeah, but I don't always listen. I'm not going to listen to you, because it'll be like, this is not like this.
Nobody's so optimistic in the Czech Republic, no.
No one is happy.
Yeah, okay, we will try. So
even the ones having sex are not happy.
Yeah, on the pet theme, it's perfect. So we have time for last 1 or 2 questions, maybe 3. So don't hesitate. All right, here.
I'm curious, what books do you read yourself when you don't write your own books?
Well, not counting the books that I read for work, like history books and stuff like that. I read history books. No, I also read history books for fun. I like, I'm very bad taste. I like a lot of cozy crime. I read a tremendous amount of cozy crime, like people like Eli Griffiths and oh, I forgot his name. I'm terrible at names, by the way. And this guy, the Charles Paris mysteries, and by the guy who does that. And I read a lot of crime, a lot of science fiction, a lot of old-fashioned type science fiction. I'm not very fond of the new science fiction because it's too depressing. Give me spaceships and ray guns and all this kind of, oh, it's gonna die, they're all gonna mutate into something else. No. I like fantasy. So basically crime, fantasy, and science fiction and historical stuff. That's basically what I read. I like, a lot of writers unfortunately are dying because they're slightly older than me, so like, or have stopped writing. So people like C.J. Cherryh, Lewis McMaster Bujold, and Terry Pratchett, they're all just slowly fading away. So it's kind of like, I'm feeling a bit like, a millennial now. But those are the books that I basically read for fun.
Which series book are you reading right now? Because I know you are reading one of them now.
Which one?
Yeah, the terrorist books. The
Terry Pratchett book?
Yeah, you're just reading one.
No, I'm reading The Blip in the Keyboard, the collection of essays.
Okay. It wasn't published here, unfortunately.
No.
But hopefully...
You say unfortunately, you're the person who would have published it.
I'm trying. Okay.
Somebody else did that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm trying. So, 5 minutes until the end. So, come on. Who wants to ask? Okay, we can finish before.
Sylvester McCoy. If Sylvester McCoy was here, he would run into the audience, grab you by the throat, and make you ask him a question.
Yeah.
I haven't had to do that yet, but I'm willing to try it.
The book signing will be on the stand of Argo, which is the building E, pro všechny, aby nevznikla mýlka. And Ben will go there, and you can buy everything there also. And yeah, it will be a lot of fun also there. Okay, there's the question, the last question.
Will there be more books about Abigail and foxes from the last one was super.
Keeping Abigail out of the books is my problem at the moment. And the foxes are just really, just like, every time I start writing a book, a fox will pop up and go, hello, I'm a fox, can I read this book? Well, there to be 2 strands. In the book I'm writing now, we have Abigail actually does some of the viewpoint character. And obviously, wherever Abigail goes, there's a fox. That's the older Abigail, that's like the 18-year-old Abigail, but I'm planning to go back and write young Abigail stories because she's so much fun when she's 14. So I'm planning, Abigail goes to Wales, Abigail goes to Paris. It's just like with a fox, obviously. So then probably cool things like what Abigail did in Wales, how Abigail annoyed the French. And anything else I can think of. I'm trying. She's going to have a very, very inventive life between about 13 and about 15, where I send her everywhere, getting into trouble. So yeah, so definitely Abigail, because she's too funny not to do.
Okay, I think that's all for now. You were a perfect audience. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ben, that you came for fourth time to the Prague. And I hope you will come soon again, and I will write you on the D1. Don't worry, because and the castle and some more sausages, of course. So if you want to go for book sign, so enjoy us. We will be on the stand of Argo building. It's not number, but it's E there.